I am Dalene Sher, currently the Employee Wellbeing Manager at Reverside. I'm a certified and registered industrial psychologist, having studied at the University of Witwatersrand. I have been in the human resources field for a very long time. After my internship, I started at Nedbank and then went on to work at Rand Merchant Bank as well. I work mostly in the human resources generalist field, but have also worked as a specialist organizational development consultant. I then went on my own doing consulting for various organizations, whether it be on executive coaching, performance management, recognition, recruitment, training, various things. Even did a stint for the medical legal services, the road accident fund at some stage. As an industrial psychologist, I can really work in whatever field is needed and whatever is important. I currently feel that employee well-being is something that we really need to focus on in organizations in South Africa. Our youth are under extreme stress, and this is not conducive for their growth and for their learning. Reverside is a very special organization. We are dealing with youth who are trying to access an industry that is in urgent need of specialist knowledge. And Reverside is doing this on a day-to-day basis. So that is what we focus on in my department, trying to make sure that the learners, the employees who are coming through the ranks feel comfortable and are able to do what they want to do and enhance their careers. The field of psychology is a very unique one. I think especially industrial or organizational psychology, we're able to do many different things. And since I have had a few years under my belt, I have been able to access those different fields. I've worked with many different industries, financial services. I even worked at a forklift company for a stage. So all these different experiences, working with different people at different levels, with different levels of education, has given me a wider view of who we are as a South African society, as a community. And I think that does help in terms of leadership, making sure that everybody is able to have a voice and to come together. I really do appreciate it when people come and talk to me, no matter who they are. And that's why I think my background has shaped me to be someone who has leadership qualities. I don't think that I do anything intentionally. It's not an active empowerment initiative that we always have something going on. Yes, we communicate from my department with various things. We have speakers, we do Women's Day, we do all kinds of things, but on a day-to-day basis, empowerment is just about being authentic. And that's the way that I like to lead my life. And if that's the way that I'm engaging with people every day in the office, I'm hoping that that comes through as empowering for those who I interact with. When I first came to Reverside, I was only consulting on a few projects here and there, policy development, performance management, recognition, all those kind of things. But we soon realized that human resources can be a very lonely place. And Miss Cassandra Alves, who is a very, very special person, was feeling a bit lonely. And I think when we started to work together, we really did support each other. But even today, I know that when my phone rings at 6 o'clock, Cassandra and I touch base on how the day was. And without knowing it, I actually think we've mentored each other quite a lot. But I'm so proud of Cress. She has grown so much from the first meeting that we had when she wasn't sure whether she could pick up the phone and phone consultants or if email was better, to talking to everybody and anybody, consultants, clients, new business people. It's actually phenomenal. And that's only the last few years. Before that, she grew even more than we can even imagine. So when you talk about mentorship and you talk about somebody who's come through, Chrisandra's definitely the lady. During my time at Reverside, I have implemented a few projects, but the two that stand out for me are really the recognition program and the communication initiative. Recognition is extremely important to keep employees motivated, happy. Competition is not a bad thing all the time, especially when you're competing against yourself. So the recognition program runs quarterly, and it allows employees to send through their own motivations for why they should be recognized. We also get clients who send us the most amazing stories about how our consultants have helped them in their businesses and saved the day. That's something that I always get. Communication has also been very, very important. During those awful COVID times, it was very difficult to keep in touch with everybody. Not only were we all working at home, far away from everyone, but there was a lot of miscommunication in the media. So we took it upon ourselves as the Employee Wellbeing Department to engage with our employees in writing, personally, all the time. And that turned out in the end to become a Friday communication initiative. So our Friday communication initiative is one in which we share stories, successes that have been happening in the business, new initiatives. Employee well-being engagement is a big one. We share Fun Fact Friday sometimes. So some serious things, some entertaining things, and a lot about employee well-being, because it's not always easy to ask for help. And that is one way where people can get information and also have a chance to respond to an email that comes straight to them. And for that, I'm really grateful. In my time as an HR generalist, I was once appointed to be the HR representative for an executive team at a very large financial institution. This was a fantastic opportunity, and heading up that department, being a woman, being a leader, it was quite challenging. What was even more challenging was that I was 9 months pregnant. At the time, I had to do an extremely important presentation to the executive team. I didn't think very much of it until I stood up in front of all these men in suits, as it were, and they were very, very concerned for my well-being. They were worried that I was wearing high heels. They were worried that I was standing and still presenting to them. It was something that didn't worry me, but it worried them. And at the end of the presentation, because I carried on regardless, it was such a fulfilling experience that they saw me rather than the big tummy, the pregnant lady, because I managed to overcome whatever bias they may have had, if they had any, and through my words and through what I was saying and my expertise, they listened. That was quite a challenge. That was not easy to overcome, but going ahead regardless, I think that is something that I do. I don't see myself as a woman in leadership. I just see myself as a leader. And I think when we put those things in our minds aside, then we just carry on and people will see us for what we have to offer and what we bring to the table. Story I have happened a very long time ago. I was newly returned from maternity leave, very sleep deprived, not looking my best, and in the corporate world I felt quite out of place. And as people will know, when you return, everyone asks you, how are things? Is the baby good? She must be so cute. And my answer was very truthful and actually quite blunt. I'm not getting enough sleep. The baby sometimes doesn't cooperate, and I wasn't very used to that. I was very honest. And I found that a lot of people gravitated towards that, especially other women who had returned from maternity leave. The expectation was always that everything is perfect, the baby is wonderful, everything is going according to plan. But because I spoke my truth and I was able to be authentic, it drew a lot of people to me. And I learned from that leadership is not about displaying this perfect, wonderful exterior. People want to know the real parts of what has happened in your life and where you have struggled and how you have overcome it. So that is one story where I was able to connect with a lot of other people just by being honest, just by saying what is on my mind. So now I live by that. The advice that I would give women leaders is honestly the advice that I would give any leader in an organization. Just be your authentic self. Come with your talent, come with your work ethic, come with your good attitude, and then all the doors will open for you. Regardless of where you're from, what your background is, gender, race, religion, show up. Be yourself, be honest and true, and then you'll be the most fantastic leader that there is. Working in employee well-being, our goal, short-term and long-term, is to make sure that our employees are okay. They don't have to be perfect, they just have to be good enough. And as I mentioned earlier, the stressful times that we live in is not always conducive to that. So in the long term, we're hoping to have a big impact on our employees when they start to feel that they are thriving, not only surviving. And we feel that if this happens, the empowerment that they will experience will be absolutely phenomenal. And through initiatives that the Employee Wellbeing Department will initiate, whether it is breast cancer awareness, suicide prevention, all those good things, we will hopefully have everyone at Reverside included, empowered, and on the way to employee well-being and health.